You are listening to the Free Spirit Astrology Podcast. Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome back to the Free Spirit Astrology Podcast. I am your host, Brandy. Man, another weekend, huh? Another weekend of very interesting stuff. Very interesting time to be alive. There could be a lot of feelings to feel this week. Big Cancer energy happening, a lot of things happening in that Cancer part of life. And, that could be up, that could be down, that could be all around, depending on how you are uniquely configured. So if you have your chart, your birth chart, that will be very helpful. Or if you have it in your mind's eye, or if you don't work with your chart, you just want to keep yourself in mind and tune in for this self-care moment that you've carved out for yourself. We got big manifesting potential this week, though, with Cancer. We have a new moon. We have Jupiter in Cancer merging with the sun, doing some little death and rebirth. And, it wouldn't be life without a few come to Jesus moments. But anyways, damn it, we're going to have a good week. I don't care what they're saying in the news. We are going to tap into our own supply, our own sovereignty, and our own self-care. So, yeah, let's get into these transits. Out the gate today, Monday, June 23rd, we have the sun squaring Neptune and Saturn in Aries. So last week I talked about Saturn in Aries and the square that it was having between the sun and how that was bringing up some kind of obstacle or boundary or us feeling like we are, up against some kind of boundary or being overpowered by authority or we don't have help. We could have been telling ourselves this story that we don't have help, but we actually just didn't ask for the help. So that could have been a thing. And then also yesterday, but even until today, we have the sun in this conversation, in this position where the sun is squaring Neptune. And this could have us feeling a little lethargic, a lack of energy, a lack of vitality. We could feel a little foggy in the things that we're doing and creating. Our purpose could feel a little like blah. There could be some brain fog. That could have us feeling like really frustrated because the mind wants to feel productive around this time. The mind is wanting to move something along, but we can feel kind of stuck in our energy, which is totally normal, right? Because of all of the exterior things that we've been hearing. But that could be a little discouraging for some of us because we don't have time for this. We're trying to make something shake. We're on our journey. So we're just like, I'm in need my brain and my body to be in sync. I'm trying to make something shake. Now, on the other hand, depending on how you're configured, some of us could be feeling inspired and really creative and receiving these downloads and breakthroughs. And things could be moving along and we could be seeing the potential of something and finally feeling like, yes, this is working out for me. Or you could be like me and you feeling a little bit of both. See the big picture, but right now I'm feeling a little stuck in my freeze cycle. And maybe you just want to check out, which in my opinion, if you're feeling like that, you definitely should. You want to take a mental health day, talk less, touch some grass. If you're not feeling that sharp, this is a time that you want to avoid making important decisions or signing any contracts that just don't feel really cohesive and clear for you, and that may just be for the day because this transit is really fleeting. You could just be feeling off today, or it could have been yesterday, but we have some fresh new mental energy coming right behind this. Not to worry, some things gonna shake this week. Then tomorrow, Tuesday, June 24th, we have Mercury, our mental faculties that is in Cancer. So it's emotional, squaring Chiron and Aries. And, wouldn't be Cancer season without a little triggering of the old wound, a little tickle of the fancy right there. So we could be really feeling this today. I feel like a lot of people could have been feeling this over the weekend. There are some old stories that are wanting to come up for us that have us just kind of looking back at some old wounds in our feelings, feeling discouraged. Perhaps there are some stories of imposter syndrome or not feeling like I'm enough coming up, or just us thinking about, was I in the wrong? Was they in the wrong? Or just something, just feeling, salty about something, maybe bitter, maybe resentful, just thinking about something that hurt us in the past. And we could, just be noticing these things. And I think that instead of us staying there, a lot of us have noticed how these stories are no longer true for us. They're kind of not fitting anymore. We're not letting that be our truths. And so this is how Chiron works the magic if we are working it by extracting the medicine in the wound and really letting it teach us something about our past selves and how we have evolved. Then later on Tuesday, Jupiter in Cancer will be in the exact proximity of the sun. This is known as a Cazimi. So Jupiter goes into the heart of the sun to die. She's dying, she dies, she burns up, and then she emerges reborn and transformed and revitalized into her divinity and all her power and glory. So in our lives, this could really signify um, a renewal of faith in something. This could also signify our old emotional stories going into the power of the sun to die. And when it's Cancer, it's going to be about the past, always about the past, family conditioning, unspoken family dynamics of codependency and enmeshment, and how we have been conditioned to stay in emotionally unsafe spaces, to shrink ourselves, to not do too much because we don't want to make certain family members mad, all that shit. That's going to die. That is going into the sun to die along with Jupiter and Cancer. And we are coming out of that with transformed ways of emoting and transformation of something that was disempowering into wisdom, to not forgive and forget, but to remember and not let that dictate or run the show, but to have that as a badge of wisdom. Like, I've been through that. That shouldn't have happened to me. And you know what? That's going to stop with me. So, if we are allowing, we are breaking toxic family dynamics and we are developing emotional clarity, we are reparenting our inner child, and we are cultivating emotional maturity. And so this is related and kind of mimicking that Mercury Chiron transit I just talked about, where we are extracting the medicine from the wound as we face the things that hurt us. And we're really sitting with that uncomfortable, painful experience from the past that still hurts. And we get to notice what still needs to heal. And when we heal it, we change it, and then we emerge forged from the fire, just like the Jupiter Cazimi, where we are revitalized and renewed. And I'm not trying to make it sound like rainbows and gummy bears. I'm just talking fast for time's sake so that you don't like check out because, if you have an attention span like mine, you'd be like, all right, this was nice, but I'm just talking fast. But this is a very hard and painful process for a lot of us. A lot of us were wounded and damaged deeply by family, deeply by, people in our cultures and in society, and all of these things that we had to endure as children when we first learned to experience emotion, which is what that Cancer energy is. That shit is painful. So there could be grief and attachment and nostalgia because sometimes, these pains and this way of being is all we've known. And the fact that they no longer fit and we have to change something and walk away from something is painful. And so there could be, sadness and anger and resentment because as we face something, we're going back into this deep emotional pain that was never your fault, that should have not happened to you. But ultimately, we don't want it to be a part of our personality traits, right? And become the person who abused us, by holding on to certain things. And with this new thing we're building, we have to heal some really deep-seated emotional stuff. So, yeah, there's some intense emotions that are coming up, feelings of emotional safety and wanting to protect ourselves and the people that we love. There's projection. Loyalty is a big thing too in the Cancer parts of life. And this is a process. Nothing needs to be fixed today. We're just witnessing because this week is all about planting seeds. We have a Cancer new moon. This is a seeding week. So we're not trying to be a finished product by any means today. This week, we are coming into some new energy. So that's not an overnight situation. Okay, Wednesday, June 25th, about 5:30 in the morning. You can adjust for your time. I'm Central. We have our new moon where the sun and the moon will be together hugging each other at about 4 degrees of Cancer, which is actually a Cancer degree in the dark skies of the Cancer parts of life. Big manifesting energy right here, but also big feelings, big emotions right here. So this new moon is granting us an amazing opportunity to manifest the things that we want. We need to be clear and specific because don't forget, we got Saturn and Neptune in Aries and, They're not playing with us. Okay. So we need to be clear. We need to be specific about what we are trying to bring into the real world, what we want to experience. We are going to plant a new seed of intention, and we want to be honest. Be honest about what you want, and be honest about what it's going to take for you to feel happy, and the spaces that you need to be around, and the spaces that you need to walk away from, and the things you need to stop doing, because we are having a full self transformation for the next couple of years. And this is all about you, your emotional safety, how you can be your true authentic self and not feel small or boxed in by anybody else. So we're talking about ourselves. And so this new moon is with the revitalized, the newly reformed and reborn divine godmother, the river goddess, Jupiter in Cancer, in all her glory, shining and truly abundant, providing us support, making something easier in our practical day to day world so that we get to sit with some really deep and intense emotions. There are things that we need to heal about how to be with ourselves and be home in our own bodies and in our own emotions, and how to be ourselves, because we can't go be anything else in the world if we are not feeling secure with self. There are a lot of deep ancestral wounds, family inflicted emotional wounds that influence every part of our lives. It's influencing our self worth. It's influencing how we show up publicly and what we want to do for our profession and what we think we're capable of doing. It's influencing the prices that we ask for our services, how we treat our bodies, how we move or don't move our bodies, what we put into our bodies, how we speak to our children and treat our children, and how we feel worthy, whether we feel worthy or not, to experience joy, to have something for ourselves that make us happy. And so depending on where Cancer is for you personally in your own birth chart, this is your space. This is your topic that you will be looking at. How safe do you feel to be yourself? How safe do you feel to take up space and to get the things that you want that make you feel happy? And that's going to be important with the processes that we are involved in, because grandmother Saturn, already know how she is. She says we have to heal some things so we can build something on solid ground. And we can't build something that's for us in a legit way if we are afraid to be ourselves and to take up space and to ask for the thing we said we want. And Neptune is telling us, hey, I keep showing you the vision. I keep showing you the dream. I'm sending it to you in dreams. 1111, but you're not taking that next step. And maybe it's because you don't feel safe to have what you want. Maybe you don't feel like you deserve nice things because of these old emotional wounds. And so Saturn and Neptune in Aries is squaring the new moon. So it's giving us a reality check to face something in that Cancer part of life, to face some emotional wounds that we have not dealt with or we thought we healed, but yep, there it is again. It's showing back up. It's sneaky, right? So we can face those things in the Cancer part of life. And that is so we can stop sabotaging the dream in the Aries part of life. And if we finally face that emotional pain, maybe we can stop the unhealthy escapism and have more trust in the Pisces part of life. That's where the North Node is. And then if we stop the escapism and have our come to Jesus moment, we could then adopt these new healthy routines where we clean the gut out so that we can finally trust the gut. You can't trust a gut that's not clean. Instead of holding on to these stories that people placed in us and planted in us of needing to be perfect, and this old criticism that has now become your new inner critic, and that's in the Virgo parts of life. So yeah, can you see the astrological dots in the game that I'm throwing down for you? Because this is all connected. This is a whole process, and that's why it's not easy. Okay. And then by Thursday morning, June 20th, we have Mercury in Cancer, making a sextile to Uranus and Taurus at 29 degrees right before Mercury goes into Leo. So this is us receiving a lightning strike in the mind, a strike of an aha moment, surprising information, some mental energy, clarity. We could discover something new like, damn, I'm a genius. Something makes a lot of sense around this time, around Thursday. Could be before. Uranus can be a little unpredictable, but something makes a lot of sense. This has the potential to bring us a lot of freedom. And with the sun in Cancer sextiling Mars, we are going to be very excited to implement some new thing in a very practical step by step way. And our body is also in agreement. It's sending us a green light that, yes, this is right for me. I need to act on this thing in a practical and methodical way. And also, this could be an aha moment of, I'm ready to start a new routine. I'm ready to start taking care of my health. I'm ready to get into that Pilates class. This is right for me. I'm going to sign up because, Mars and Virgo is all about that mind body connection, taking practical steps. And later on Thursday evening, Mercury will enter into the sign of Leo. And just like that, we got our swagger back. Then I tell you, I told you it was coming back. We got our swagger back. We ready to put that shit on. Are we stepping out? There is something that we could have refined and went underground to fix that we are ready to put back in the spotlight. So that Mercury in Leo is bringing some big fire energy, but we also want to beware when Mercury enters Leo. The shadow side of that is being performative and being overly concerned about being accepted or validated. And so remember, we're on our path to do something that makes us happy and that brings us joy and makes us feel emotionally fulfilled. And then by Friday, June 27th, Mercury in Leo makes a trine to Saturn in Aries. So this is very fiery, but it's Saturn. So, no matter where it's at, it's going to be mature. There's going to be something serious going on. This could be some type of new structure or business plan, new business blueprint, negotiations on the table. This could be a contract. This could be a mature conversation. Maybe it's time to cut ties. Maybe we decided to go in a different direction and we need to make some changes. Or this could be somebody addressing something in a courageous and diplomatic type of way. But there is some kind of emotional maturity check happening with this. And it could be even a pep talk to self, like watch your ego. Is this from the ego? Is this from the heart? It could be a mirror conversation between you and you, or a heart to heart with a family member, because it is Cancer. Maybe we need to just, tell a family member for once and for all, you're not going to keep handling me like that. I'm grown. That could be what this Mercury Saturn situation is. And but it's a trine, so it's gonna be good vibe. Good vibes. It's gonna be good for you. It's gonna free you up, make you feel good on the inside. And Saturday, June 20th. Is that Saturday? Girl, June 28th, okay? At about 7 o'clock in the morning, Mercury will then go on to trine Neptune. And like I said, bam, the next day, we just got this creative energy. It's beautiful. The brain is burning with creativity. And there's just so many good ideas and compassion. And this could be like a very good pep talk with somebody, just making something make sense, or just coming to spiritually inspire another, to speak to someone with compassion. And of course, on the shadow side, this can also be blurred lines and people hearing things out of context. So maybe the talk the day before, somebody went home and was salty, like, I don't really like the way she said that to me, and they heard something different. And so this can be, a situation like that. This could also be us over romanticizing a person or a situation. Neptune brings the rose-colored glasses, so we could be thinking about something, out of context, and we need a little discernment. This could also be over sensationalizing stories or information. So I always tell my daughter this: watch out for what you believe on the internet, whether it's for the thing you like or against the thing you like, because people like to fearmonger and they like to put a little bit more on things. And this is why it is so important, if you have never done this in your life, to tap into you so that you can really trust your own instincts and your own intuition. So when it's time to make a move, you'll know what move to make, because God and the divine and spirit and your intuition is going to speak to you directly, but you ain't going to be able to hear that with a lot of emotional noise happening with fear, because fear is really loud, but the intuition speaks quietly and it whispers and it doesn't ask questions. It just knows when to go. So you want to tap into you, so you can have that discernment about things. Okay. And then finally, Sunday, Mercury in Leo makes an opposition to Pluto in Aquarius. And this is where we potentially pick a side, or we have some type of tug of war between, who am I as a unique individual? Who am I to society? Should I do this? Should I step out? Should I, make this name for myself? How can I be my true authentic self without alienating people, the people I love, the people I'm in community with? Or is it time for me to find a new tribe, my own, community who accepts me, because it's time for me to be about myself. So that is something to think about this week. So we got a lot of nice things going on. We got some nice energy, okay? No matter what, it's big manifesting energy. You know, say it loud and make it clear and make it plain and put it on paper and set those intentions and do your new moon rituals where you might write something down or what do you want to know? What kind of questions are you asking? What do you want to plant? What new thing do you want to see happening in your life? This is all about you. That Aries energy is saying that you have come to reclaim yourself, your truth, and build the life that you want. So I want to encourage somebody. Once again, God speaks to us quietly. God speaks in the stillness. God speaks in the quiet of our own inner vortex, right? So this is the time to get still and get quiet and step into the soft, so that we can hear the divine, and we can't do that if our emotions are loud. We just want to remember that intuition is quiet, fear is loud, fear is big loud, okay? Stay in your own boat. Sometimes when things get a little too emotionally heavy, we want to try to fix other people and we want to try to tell other people about their ministry and what they need to be doing and how, look, the podcast says you need to get your stuff together. No. You need to get your stuff together. And I'm talking about me too. I need to get my stuff together. I'm just relaying the messages. This ain't even me. This is just the messages that the universe has put me in position to relate to you. But we all need to be in our own boat. We got work to do. Nobody is a finished product because you're still alive. Okay? So take care of yourself. Know yourself so that you can trust yourself. Okay? And let the correct authorities lead you. You don't want to be led astray by the crazies, okay? There's a lot of crazies out there. And there it is, y'all. Thank you for tuning in and making me a part of your weekly self-care routine. I love you. I'm here for you. All of y'all who are listening know exactly how to hit me up and where to hit me up at if you need me. But if you are a new listener, I'm going to put my email in the show notes. And until then, I'll speak to you next week. Bye. You are listening to the Free Spirit Astrology Podcast.